Hi, I'm Dan Leonard, hopefully back east.
And I'm George Woodham here in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Well, after a night of revelry, we're going to do a promo for you tonight because we've got a great show coming up this coming Monday night. Our guest is going to be the very tall and lovely and incredibly talented Connie Terwilliger. She knows just about everything there is about voiceover, and we're going to quiz her about it.
That's right. We're going to take a lot of questions. She's also an ISDN talent, so we get to talk a little bit about her thoughts on the state of ISDN, of course. And we're looking to have a good time with her. We'll also have a classic edition of a tip of the week from Dan. I'm sure that we can call out of the libraries because he's traveling a little bit too much these days.
Yep. And we'll be taking your questions, so send them in to ewabshop@gmail.com. That's East-West Audio Body Shop. Join us in the chat room this Monday night, 9 o'clock in the East.
And 6 o'clock out here in the West.
And we'll see all of you there.
He's the home voiceover studio engineer to the stars in Los Angeles, California. A Virginia Tech grad whose knowledge of the latest recording gear is second to none. He's a voice actor and the home studio master, hailing from Buffalo, New York. His home studio skills and knowledge of voiceover recording is unmatched. When Dan and George talk shop, people listen, and the talk continues tonight. Welcome to East-West Audio Body Shop. And now, live from his high-tech facility in Santa Monica and his penthouse studio in Buffalo, here are George Woodham and Dan Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Woodham in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. And of course, because it's written right here in front of me, I need to thank our sponsors. Of course, Harlan Hogan over at Voiceover Essentials, Voiceover Extra, and your employer, Edge Studios.
Hooray,
Coming to a
Edge.
town near you.
Yes.
All righty. Well, what a wonderful show we have for tonight. We've got Connie Terwilliger is going to be joining us. And supposedly, her class is now watching us. And guys, actually, Connie, if you put on the show, we'll be 30 seconds behind, but they'll actually be able to watch the show because otherwise they're just going to see me.
That's okay.
Which is exciting enough, I suppose.
Don't confuse them.
I'll try not to. We've got a tip of the week. I have an oldie but a goodie about audition tips, and we're going to answer some questions. But we got a couple of things we need to lead off of. First off, if you're over 60. Get the shingles vaccine. If those of you who were watching last week, remember I was sort of suffering from shingles last week. Well, it's going away, and now I'm suffering from what they like to call residual nerve pain. Nothing that an 800-pound bomb of ibuprofen can't handle for 6 hours, but
yikes!
I'm good for tonight.
Oh man,
until I go to bed. But
I've got slightly cooler news because I ran into Dee Snider, the rock singer, and now actor. I've seen him I ran into him at the pier in Santa Monica with my daughter, who's Ella. I tell you, it's like having a cute puppy. The ultimate icebreaker. And walk up to him, and I had that second degree of separation that made it a little easier for me to talk to him. Because he's in a TV show called Hollister, and the guy that directed it and co-stars and writes it is somebody I know. So, long story short, the guy remembers me a year later. He leaves me this funny voicemail where he says he tells a story as though he's telling a story of meeting Dee Snider at this pier, and this whole thing is very funny. The way he remembered it and told this little story about me meeting him at the pier and giving him my card and all this stuff. But anyway, he's moving here to Marina Del Rey and needs to get a little help with the home studio. So I gotta love it. I mean, I gotta say, it's very, because I've met some celebrities and stuff over time. It's really rare that they follow through and really, come back and contact you and move forward with the service. So
yeah,
cheers to Dee Snider. Thanks for remembering me. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he seems like a real guy. I mean, there's that character from Twisted Sister, but
you know what I think? Some of these guys that do create these outlandish characters, they do it because it's like their alter ego. But when they're in their day-to-day lives, they get to totally detach from that and be regular dudes, So
yeah. Everyone except Gene Simmons.
Yeah, gosh, Gene,
just a little bit off.
Man, does that guy insert his mouth in his foot, or is it the other way around? Anyways,
all right, let's get on to the questions here before we just totally get off track here. All right, we got some great questions from our audience tonight.
Yeah.
Starting off with somebody who's near and dear to us and is probably watching because we know he's watching. Anthony Gettig asks, because he's doing some stuff with an audiobook and he's mastering, and he needs to understand the difference between peak and RMS normalization.
Mm-hmm.
George, go.
Okay, you got it. It really comes down to the way that the software measures the audio when it's normalized, okay? So you have two ways of measuring the audio, peak or RMS. And if you're using, and forgive me guys, it's pretty much always going to be Twisted Wave that I'm going to refer to because it's my daily driver and it does all this stuff easily. But if I was to show you in Twisted Wave, which I'll try to do without bringing the show to a crashing halt here, you get two ways of measuring audio, two basic ways of measuring the levels in an audio file. Here, let me switch to this other camera so you guys can see this here. So you've got peak and you've got RMS. So if I bring up an audio sample of something that was in my...
Not seeing it yet.
Samples here. Bring that over here.
Not seeing it. You got to get your camera on there.
Well, you're not seeing it, but everybody else is.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
but they're not seeing it. It's San Diego City College.
I know. Sorry, guys. Unless you're watching the stream, you can't see this. I'm doing my best. This is for the rest of the thousands and thousands of you watching. Billions. If you have an audio sample, you can measure the peak in two ways. You can either measure it in well, there's more than two, but the two main, if you go to File, Analyze, is you can measure it in peak and you can measure it in RMS. And the difference is the way it's measured. Peak is looking at the loudest bit of audio that occurs at any one moment in time. So in this case, it's minus 9 dB on this file. RMS is looking at the volume of the audio averaged over the entire length of the track. And that is, you can see, a much lower number. And it almost always is a much lower number. In this case, it's minus 32. So what it's doing is it's using those two different ways of measuring the levels to then calculate the normalization. Now, if you were to normalize this file, and I'll do this really quick because we got a lot more questions. If you were to normalize this audio file at minus 3 dB peak, well, what's it going to do? It's going to raise the levels up until it reaches the loudest part is at minus 3, right?
That's not going to do it quite as well.
Well, it's going to bring it up to minus 3, right? So that's not a problem. But if they want you to measure it by RMS, not by peak, you can normalize by RMS. Now, you got to be really careful, though, because if you normalize to RMS and you normalize to too high a level, let's say you normalize to RMS minus 3. Let's watch what happens. Boom! The levels are completely slammed right off the screen. Complete distortion, total disaster, right? So the problem with using normalized to certain values, you have to know exactly what value you can safely normalize to. And what's cool about Twisted Wave is you can actually say, yes, normalize to minus 24 RMS, but limit it to minus 3. So if you do that, the levels will change. I find that in the end of the day, you're always going to end up back at minus 3 peak RMS anyway. So why bother screwing around with that? But if you're measuring levels, you do have to use the peak and you do have to measure peak and RMS and look at both measurements because they do want you to be aware of both. So make sure you know when to use which and don't get them confused because they will give you very, very different readings.
All right.
I don't know if I really explained the difference, but I thought it would be easier to demonstrate it.
Well, I know I understood it, but
cool.
Then again, I actually almost know what I'm talking about here. Okay. All right. The next one is an audio example.
Okay.
And and Casey has given us the opportunity to present this on the show.
Well,
so he was like, what do you think of this? What is the audio okay? And how is the editing on this? Well, Casey, you asked for it, as Jack Smith used to say.
Here it is.
Remember Jack Smith, do you?
I'll play it right now. So that was fun.
Yeah. Boy, it's the levels are really low on that one.
Hang on a second. It's because I never put the audio clip to go with it. So of course it's just a picture. There's no audio.
I didn't even see the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the picture.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry about that. Let's put that audio clip in there.
Oh, okay. And
This is always fun to do on the fly. I thought I had it prepped, and well, I didn't. So there's a screenshot. There's the audio clip. And let's take two on that.
Just do it.
Thinking about that bagel you're going to get. Sesame, French toast, maybe Asiago. Hot out of the toaster and smothered in ooey gooey cream cheese. When you should be thinking about switching to Geico and saving hundreds of dollars on car insurance. They have 24/7 access to help answer any of your questions. Can a bagel do that? No, because it's just bread shaped like a circle. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. To get a free rate quote.
Too many knobs, not enough brains. That's the studio on my end. So I'll give you.
Hey, we're doing this live, kids.
I cranked it way up so I could get an idea of what was going on in the background because the levels were only peaking around -12,
which is a problem in itself.
Right, that's one problem. Dan, what was the issue that you noticed initially?
Well, the acoustics were wrong. It sounded like he was in a tube. There was not enough acoustical damping on the walls of his studio.
Yeah.
And it sounded, somewhat hollow. And you have to have a totally dead sound in your booth or wherever it is that you're recording. You've got to deal with the two issues. One, the sound coming into your booth, and then the sound that is going to bounce around the booth from your own voice.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was not properly damped, which is something a studio suit would solve.
Yeah, exactly.
Something along those lines. So,
yeah, that was wish. And then I heard what sounded to me like a noise gate. And it may have been just his editing. I'm not really sure.
Well, that was the point, is that the editing was too tight. And because he jumped from one piece to another, it sounded like it was two totally different takes.
Right.
That he stopped and he did it louder. And you can hear that it was distinctly louder.
Yeah.
If you play that again, you can hear that.
Yeah. The key to good edits is that you shouldn't know that there are any edits. Like if you listen to it back,
That's right,
out of context, you should not even detect a single edit. And listen to it back in headphones. I know great speakers are awesome to have, but unless you're lucky enough to have an extremely quiet room to listen in, you may not notice the drops in room tone. Like if I was listening to it back in my studios and my speakers, I would not have heard some of the nuances there of the issues. So make sure that you listen to it back. If you really want to be sure, use some sealed headphones. So
yeah. All right. I guess we got time for one more question here.
Okay.
All right. John Jeffries asks, this is appropriate for everybody. Is radio TV imaging a different type of market than voiceover? Well, it is voiceover, but if you ask anybody, especially some of George's big-time clients who do a lot of promo work, it's a very, very different marketplace. It's certainly competitive like nothing else. I mean, you've got only a few people that are really doing it and making big money at it, and they're really competitive. I mean, we know a bunch of people that do this, and and there's different levels of it. I mean, you got people that are trying to do imaging for radio stations, and they're trying to outprocess each other, which means they're probably driving the production directors at these stations nuts.
Yeah, I'm so confused by the question. It says, "Is radio/TV imaging different?" Oh, is radio/TV imaging a different type of market than VO? That's sort of like, do you walk to school or do you carry your lunch?
And chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, it's asking two different questions. But I know radio imaging is a totally different market than promo. That's for sure.
Highly specialized.
Yeah, those are if that's what you're asking, then yes, those two markets are totally different. And they have a different set of skills, different type of reads, different audio processing. They are quite different.
Right. And TV imaging, of course, is even more different from radio because, those are some of the guys that actually it's not TV imaging. It's really what's called promo work.
Yeah.
The guys, things that Don LaFontaine used to do. And our friend Chris Fries and Rick Wasserman and of course, Joe Cipriano,
right?
Who do this type of stuff, and they're the elites in this business. But I think it's Chris that's like, he's on FX where it's like, the Americans, viewer discretion advised, and we love that show. But it's highly stylized and highly specialized type of work, as opposed to welcome to this video on how to use a drinking fountain. So
more of a normal, non-announcery read for explainer video.
Right. Yes, the announcery stuff is image and promo stuff.
Right.
All right.
There's two more. Should we get those after the break? Then we can do the tip of the week.
We can do that, and then we'll have time for my tip of the week.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a break right now and reorganize and let people think, what on earth are these guys talking about, and who are they, and why are we watching this? East West Audio Body Shop. We'll be right back after this message, so do not go away.
Hey guys, this is Tom, also known as the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, and you want to fill your ear holes and your eye holes with Dan and George and the East West Audio Body Shop. Ah! Meow! Snails like it too.
All right, and we're back. All right, we've still got more to come on this show. Gee, we got a whole other hour and a half left here. But we've got Connie Terwilliger and her class at San Diego City College coming to join us in a few minutes. And my tip of the week, and let's answer a couple other questions that were sent in to us. The voluminous amount of questions that we get from our audience, because they
love it.
Want to know.
I'm so glad we're back to a Q&A show again.
I know. It's more fun this way.
It is.
I'd like to get these people actually on the show asking the questions.
So we can, baby steps.
We'll see their facial expressions as we go. Come on, you didn't know that?
This is easier for me.
I know. All right, good. All right. Our good friend Jack DeGolia asks, there's been Facebook chatter about the TMA-1X headphones from AI. If nothing else, can you teach us how to say the manufacturer's name? But also, it would be nice to know how to reach specs on headphones to compare one from another.
All right, my vote is it's III. Is the name of the
EIO.
I think it's just III is the name of the headphones.
Oh, so now they're Cuban.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called. Well, when you're looking at all these myriad headphones that come from overseas, and there has never been more headphones. I mean, it is just, there's an insane deluge of headphones coming from overseas now. And because of that, it's almost impossible to get accurate specs. And let's be frank, folks, specs don't matter at all for headphones. They don't matter as much for microphones, and they really don't matter that much for headphones, because you can have two pairs of headphones with the same specs and they can sound totally different. I mean, completely. One of them may feel great on your head but sound terrible. Another may sound awesome. It squeeze your ears so much they bleed. Believe me, headphones are far from one size fits all. So all I can say is buy those suckers on Amazon or something where you can try them and return them if you don't like them, because there's no way you're going to find specs, not likely anytime soon, on these that you can really rely on. I mean, headphones.com is a great place, or Headphone. There's two companies, Headphone and Headphones. Headphone.com is a really awesome place to look at comparing specs for headphones. And they may have those headphones on there. I don't know. But otherwise, you have to go into those gear sluts for headphones. They're out there. I can't remember the name of one, but there is a gear sluts specifically for headphones, and maybe they'll be talking about it. Basically, I just read reviews. If people have dared buy them and reviewed them, if there's enough reviews where I can start feeling like they're honest and not planted there by the manufacturer, then I can feel safe at trying them out. But God knows, other than that, JS for some reason was like, "Oh yeah, they're kind of comfortable and I like them." Blah blah blah. I've never used them. So JS, did you get a sneak peek, or did you go to some event where they were being demoed? Fill us in on that if you're watching.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. And okay, so and I, as far as headphones are concerned, I usually don't use headphones unless I'm like on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
I occasionally will use headphones in the studio if I'm like, you have to be quiet around the other people that are here.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I've got my studio monitors, and so headphones are headphones.
Yeah, if you got a quiet room with good monitors, you're in good shape.
That's because they're going to give you much better response and much truer reproduction of what it is you actually record.
At least more true to life, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, and our final question. Yes, I talk for a living, if you can't tell, is from Jimmy Backus, not to be confused with Jim Backus, who everyone remembers. See, all this old stuff. Connie knows what I'm talking about. Mr. Magoo. Oh, by George. Let's see here. Hello, George and Dan. I recently turned my small closet into a personal studio. Very good,
Somebody's
Jimmy.
Watching the show.
All right. I'd like to hear that. Well, otherwise, why would he write to us? I'm having a hard time trying to find something that could hold my laptop until I can afford a tablet. Usually the tablets are cheaper than the laptops, aren't they? But is there anything out there? Wasn't that a part of a Pink Floyd song? Is there anybody out there?
Yeah.
You have going over and over about microphones, just looking for some information on this particular mic.
Hey, folks, don't assume we're going to proofread your questions and correct your grammar.
Yeah,
just
would you please do that yourself? You're like some clients I have. Do you proofread this stuff?
And if you're English second language, we apologize, and you should probably have told us on the outset.
That's true.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, a strong heavy duty music stand.
Music stand, absolutely.
Yeah, a good quality one. There's one on my website. I have a little VO store, just like Harlan does on my website. I have one on there from Amazon that's like $50, and it gets really, really high. You can extend it to about 6 feet high. So you can get it exactly as high as you need and stick it on there. And as long as it's a stand that you can lock the position of this thing so it doesn't fall over and drop your laptop on the floor,
right,
you'll probably be all right. So
yeah. And the other answer to that, of course, is to just run a separate monitor.
Yeah.
And that sounds like the Second Street,
like Santa Monica.
The Santa Monica 2nd Street Fire Station is busy. In my studio, I've got I've got an extra monitor on the wall, and I could just scroll it as a secondary monitor, and there's just bolted to the wall.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to go. Put a secondary monitor on the wall, and don't even worry about trying to mount your monitor up to it, or your computer up to it.
As a matter of fact, your computer shouldn't even be in the booth with you.
Probably not, unless you're really lucky to have a super quiet one, which if it's at least 3 or 4 years old, not a chance.
Not going to happen. All right.
So there you have it. If you're trying to find that music stand, go to vostudiotech.com, click on the products menu, click on Amazon store, and look under accessories, and you'll find the music stand I was talking about. I'm digging around for it now. In the meantime, we'll play the tip of the week, and while it's playing, I'll find out what that unit is and tell you guys what it is.
Yeah, or you can steal one from your local high school. Well, you find them at garage sales all the time. Anyway, here's a tip of the week on how to do your auditions better technically.
All right.
One of the things we do as voice actors more than anything else is audition. And with peer-to-peer networks, it's all you do. If your agent sends you an audition, you get it back as soon as you can. But you're not alone. 40, 50, 100 other people are vying for the same project. So how do you help your odds? All the coaches have their tips and tricks. Sound like you're busy. Dan Leonard reading for the part of... Olaf. Do the slate in character.
Dan Leonard reading for the part of Igor.
And a bunch of other things. But before you send anything out, it better sound like you know what you're doing in your studio. And you can do that by making a couple of things standard practice. 1. Record at the proper level. If you don't set your levels right, it's like saying you're an amateur on the Jumbotron. 2. Record in and deliver your audio in one-track mono. You wouldn't believe how many times I've been asked, "Doesn't it sound better in stereo?" Your voice only comes from one place. Standard procedure is one-track mono. Slates. If the audition notes say, "Audition with slates will be discarded," don't slate. If you do slate, keep it simple. Dan Leonard, 2 takes. Lead-in time. I used to think 1 second lead time was good. People don't want to hear silence. Make it half a second. Once I started doing that, my response and conversion rate went way up. Clean things up. Make sure that there's no editing noises like clicks and pops, and that your noise floor has been properly lowered in volume so you don't hear it at the ends of words. Processing. If you understand how and why, use a little compression and expansion to even things out. But don't try to make things sound like they're on the radio. Keep your audio sounding natural. If you're confident about your audio, you'll be able to relax and be yourself. Most importantly, all coaches agree on one thing. If you want to get hired, you don't want to sound like everyone else. If you've got your audio under control, you can be more confident about your performance. How will you do a script differently? And how are you going to stand out from the pack when you get it that way? And that's my tip of the week.
All right. Now, that was about 2 years ago, maybe a little less than 2 years ago, but it all still stands today. As much as technology is advanced and maybe it's a little easier to record, but those are standard things that you need to pay attention to when you're doing these auditions. Is, make sure that everything is the way they ask for it. Otherwise, it gets in the garbage can really fast. I have all these images of cassette tapes piling up in a garbage can, but that is from another era. God, I'm really dating myself tonight, aren't I? I'm mentioning, Jack Smith and all these other things. I mean, come on. Yeah. Maybe it's because I just feel old because of the shingles tonight. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a little bit more coming up. We've got
a little bit.
Like 45 minutes of Connie Terwilliger, or however long she wants to hang out with us.
That's right.
After this first half hour, probably 5 minutes. Anyway, we'll be right back with Connie Terwilliger and her class at San Diego City College right here on East West Audio Body Shop. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Whence came these two radiant celestial brothers united for an instant as they crossed the stratosphere of our starry window? One from the east and one from the west.
Very good.
And we're back here at East West Audio Body Shop.
That's very good.
Yes.
Hi, Dan.
Very good. Very good. Hello, Connie Terwilliger, joining us from San Diego, California, and on all of her class at San Diego City College. Hi, everybody. So we've been wanting to have you on the show for a while because you know more about the voiceover business than any human being ever on this planet.
Wow. Thank you. I didn't think anybody noticed.
Oh, but I did. Anyway, let's get into the meat of the matter here. And I mean, first off, you've been doing this for a while. A lot of people are what we call noobs. You're not a noob. You've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. What is your view of the industry today? Try to encapsulate what you've been trying to teach these kids for the last 6 weeks.
Oh, no. This is the first day of class.
Oh, and you're starting them with this?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No pressure or anything.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Yeah, not even, most of the people in this class, I haven't even taken the role yet, so some of them aren't going to be in the class by the time the class is over. So we'll just, so we'll give them as much information as we possibly can in this 2.5 hour class.
Jam it right in there.
Yeah, let's encapsulate the voiceover industry in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think that everything has changed, and everything has changed, and then nothing has changed. The internet, of course, has changed the way that we do business. When I first started in the business, I was, going to people's studios. I had an agent. She handled all my bookings. I barely auditioned at all. Everything was cast off my demos. I would just get a phone call to go and report to a studio and do commercial after commercial after commercial. And then I was also freelancing as an on and off-camera talent and a writer and a producer. So I was doing a little bit of that on my own as well. But on the pure voiceover side, it was, through an agent, and I did very little of my own marketing. I did network with people. My agent had a go see list at the time because she was handling on-camera people as well as voiceover talent, and we were all most of us were doing a little of both. And so we had a go see list, and basically I would be on the phone once every couple of months, just churning through that list, reminding people that I was out there, but they knew not to call me and ask me how much, was the job should be. They knew to call my agent to make sure that was happening. And then I got out of the business for a while. I started, I worked at a major corporation for about 9 years, running their video department, and I was as a producer and a writer and an on and off camera talent, and my voiceover business just went down into nothing because I wasn't getting out there and networking with people, and I didn't have a chance to get out as much as I did before. You
were actually earning a living, in other words.
Yeah, I actually have a steady paycheck. A regular paycheck, which was good. That was nice. I was able to buy a house because I had a regular paycheck, but I didn't like working full time. But once they closed the doors in '94, and I went back out as a freelancer. I was freelancing with all my hats. I was producing, I was writing, I was doing on and off camera spokesperson, and I realized that I needed to put a studio in my house. That was in like '96. I also got a website in '96. I've been online with a web presence since 1996 with voiceover-talent.com and corporatevideo.com. So
obviously, based on those domains, you got in early.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, not as early as Doug Turco, who has voiceovertalent.com, but being online with a web presence for that long a period of time means that I get hits every week, at least 3 inquiries a week from people who just get direct hits on my website from all over the country and around the world. Yeah. So getting my own studio, getting a web presence, getting ISDN lines at the time, all were part of my understanding of the new reality that in order to compete, I had to do it on my own. I had to learn the basics of how to be the most minimalist engineering, that I could possibly do to survive. I find that I love editing. I just love that process. So I can do the creative part, and then I can do the editing part too, which is fun. I mean, I don't do a lot of mixing and stuff, only just some on-hold stuff every once in a while. Put a little music in the background, but I don't do anything else. But things changed, and in the process of that, I have found some things that I just hate, and that is negotiating. How much does it cost? Every week I get at least 3 inquiries that say, we're producing a TV commercial. How much does it cost? How much do you charge? Where is the commercial going to run? I mean, sometimes they don't even say it's a TV or a radio spot. Where is it going to run? How long is it going to run? I need more information before I can give you a.
How many eyeballs?
How many? I call it shelf life in eyeballs.
Balls, right.
And that always is kind of an icebreaker for people when I use the term, shelf life in eyeballs. But the negotiation part of it it's just brutal. I mean, I had a call from a girlfriend today. Connie, you just know everything. Do you think you might be able to help me figure out what to charge for this 15-second thing on somebody's website? And it's like,
yeah, we don't see that much, do we? Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, how much are they willing to pay you? And then you can say yes or no. So it's that part I just hate. The networking and the marketing, I don't mind that, but it's part of the business now. Really serious marketing, making sure you contact people and following up with them, and all of those things are so important now. That I have agents all over the country, but even that relationship is different, because now we're just doing endless auditions against hundreds of other people because of the way everybody gets the same leads. So you have no idea how many people you're auditioning against. And but I actually have, in the last year, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but in the last year I've noticed I'm doing more work at people's studios outside my own studio, and I'm also getting cast more off my demos again. And it's not universally true, but I've noticed a slight difference in this. Some auditioning, when I know that it's right for me, I know that I'm pretty comfortable that I had a really good shot at getting that job. You get so many auditions that are just not right for you, and you feel like, well, my agent sent it to me, I should probably audition for it. And most of the agents, I think, just send it out to their entire list, and they don't care if you audition for it or not.
I know, but it's good to know I'm not alone in thinking that way.
At least 30 of their people will audition for it. So
why bother?
I swear. Well, the next time if I get something that says 20-something, I have never sounded like a 20-something. Never. Even when I was 20-something, I never sounded like I was a 20-something. So there are plenty of young women out there that sound like they're 20-something. And I just, so it's like Nickelodeon. No, I'm sorry.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that you're finding a lot of stuff. You're getting stuff off your demo, because like we all know, for a couple of years, it was like, well, everything's a custom demo and you're doing everything custom. But if people are finding you online and liking your demo initially, that does get a lot of work. And I would say, and I have noticed that too. So maybe it's turning around, and maybe having a really kick butt demo is really, really important, in several different genres.
I think that's changing though too. And the internet is affecting that, in that, because people can target their searches so specifically, you need to have, if you are versatile and you do a lot of different kinds of things, you have to make sure that you have demos that are marked and labeled very specifically for those people that are searching for e-learning or dialogue or multi-voice or real person or conversational or announcer even, So you have to have all of those things. So you have more work to do to make sure you've got really good demos and your website is optimized so that all those words show up when people do searches.
Right.
So and that's another one of your jobs.
Auditioning is what we do.
Well, no, the website optimization.
Oh, that too.
You can hire somebody to do that, and if you're just starting out, that should be part of your business plan.
Yes.
Part of your business plan, because you can't, if you're not seen, how is anybody going to know what you can do if nobody knows you're out there? And
That's
it's
right.
harder and harder to be seen these days.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So now you're teaching this stuff to these fine young kids that are now.
They're not young kids. Let me tell you that. It's a community college.
All right. So they're recovering podiatrists and chiropractors and accountants.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of career changing kind of thing, because people hear more and more about voiceovers, and I got a computer, I got a voice. People tell me I'm really, really have a great voice and how to be in this business and stuff. So it's the class is an introduction. It covers all the different genres of voiceover that you could do, and gives them a chance to read different scripts and figure out if they did well in this kind of area, if they did good in cartoon voices, or if they were better at announcing, or if they were better at multi-voice dialogue kind of things. But that's only half the class. The rest of the class is business. I mean, you've got to learn how to negotiate.
Yep.
You have to learn how to fill out an invoice and send it. And then you have to figure out how to follow up if somebody hasn't paid you yet. You need to know the technical aspect of it, of making sure you have a studio that is outfitted, that you can work from, that is at least competitive with other people out there. If you're working in the corner of your kitchen, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
You're going to sound like you're in a lecture hall in a college.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you can't sound like that, guys.
No. And then there's that marketing part of things, where you have to make sure that you've got your, who you've talked to, what you've talked about, you've done your follow up, we had a great marketing EWABS a month or so ago with Ann Ganguza and stuff. So, it's just all part of the process these days. But
yeah,
my background is I started in doing radio years and years and years ago in 1972.
TV had come around by then, but
TV
radio was still around.
But I was radio, and it was college radio. But we were a broadcast radio station, so we had FCC stuff. The part that I enjoyed the most was writing the scripts for the public affairs department. I was the public affairs manager and wrote and produced scripts for PSAs. And then I went to my graduate school at Indiana University, and because I had the experience in the radio, I did some TV staff announcing. And then I was also a producer and a writer and on-camera host for some programming at WTIU, which was affiliated with Indiana University. And I took a full graduate load for 2 years, and I was a TA, and I had a radio show at a country gospel Sunday morning radio show. That was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
So for 2 years, I worked my butt off. And then I moved out to California and got hired at a TV station right away, because I had a directing background and I had a master's degree, and I was female. Mm-hmm. Got hired at Channel 8 here in San Diego right away. But after about 3 months of directing, I said I just didn't want to do that. I got very lucky. I got a part-time announcing job, staff announcer job, live staff announcer. I worked from 4 to midnight, 2 days a week. And I said things like, here's my little switch. I had a microphone, a clock, and a digital clock, and a book. And I would push the little microphone and say, now playing at a theater near you. Check your local listings for theaters and times. Available at Thrifty.
Yeah, I did that at a public television station. Coming up next on Channel 17.
Exactly.
Roger's Neighborhood. Yeah, and it would be on a cart and.
Yeah, well, we did this live. So I was live until 1985, when I went back out totally freelance again, and then they brought, after the other full-time announcer died, they They
It happens. Hey,
they went and everything was done by a book. They called a guy in. He recorded everything in the morning, and that was what they did. But Don had that job until it was over, and then it was over. No more live staff announcers pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, no, and it was all pre-recorded, but you had the book and you had to go through and record the entire day.
Record the entire day, yeah.
Do all the different day parts and stuff.
And now, as a talent, you would have to negotiate for that. You'd have to figure out how much am I going to charge to record, a TV station's book every day.
Yep.
From my house, send them the files. How much would I charge to do that? Well, it goes back to, in this case, your shelf life is going to be little because you're going to be redoing it the next day, but your eyeballs could be anywhere from little to enormous.
Right.
And that will affect what you charge for that particular job.
Yeah. Let's change gears here just a little bit, because one of the things that, that a lot of people ask you about is, and all these guys sitting in this class are now going, what are they talking about? ISDN, which is because the entire industry is changing now, and we're trying to force it to change to get rid of this technology.
I love ISDN.
I know you love your ISDN because you have it and it works.
It's the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly.
I know. ISDN is an old-fashioned technology that was, used in radio stations. It still is, and banks for secure transmission of data. And I have a very expensive little box on my side of paired copper wires. And the studios that I connect with have a very expensive box on their end of the 2 paired copper wires. You have to pay for 2 lines a month just to maintain your lines. But what that means is that I just go into my closet, my room, and shut the door, and I just perform. And the engineer records on the other end, and everything is smooth and seamless. The problem that we used to have as technology started to change and the internet came along is that we tried to send our voice down the internet, and it was chopped up in packets. And so there was delay and data was being lost and stuff. But things are really changing. And, we've seen some amazing new technologies. But ISDN, they're trying to get rid of it. Because they're changing all the wires. There's no more. In some parts of the country, you can't even get it anymore. They're just not installing it anymore. I'm still very lucky in Southern California. In Southern California, my monthly rate is still around $50 a month to keep my lines going. And so if I have one job a week on my ISDN, sometimes it's more, then they're easily paid for. But some of our friends in the
10
Midwest,
times or more than that.
$400 to $500 a month they're charging to keep those lines open. So yeah, they don't want them around anymore.
Yeah,
$600 a month. One of my clients reported.
$600, not to mention the long distance charges.
Yeah,
and all the other
that's
things
just
that go
base
with
rate.
it.
Yeah, that's just base rate.
Yeah.
The thing is, I had an extensive discussion with Robert from Source Elements. They're one of the co-owners of develops. Well, he's the developer. Came up with the idea of Source Connect, and he said, I'll be honest, this is my product, and I wanted to see it succeed, obviously. But there's still nothing that absolutely replaces ISDN in the way that it's a dedicated, secure, and unfettered line that has nobody else tapping into it, nobody else sharing the bandwidth. There's still no direct replacement for ISDN, and the phone companies have not really come up with one. They don't really care. It's cheaper for them to maintain a switched data network, which is basically the internet, than it is to maintain these copper wires that have to run from house to the pole and all that stuff. And it just doesn't make dollars and cents for them to maintain it. Even here in LA, where copper wire is in existence and the phone network is there, Verizon will just tell you categorically, sorry, you can't get it. It's only Fios there. For those watching that don't have it or haven't heard of it, it's fiber optic. So if you have fiber optic in your neighborhood, they say, sorry, there is no copper because there's fiber, which is an out and out lie in most cases. And then you have to go through some crazy hurdles, which I'm doing right now with Miguel Ferrer. We've been trying to get him ISDN for 2 months.
No name dropping, please.
Sorry, it's it's fun.
I already told the class that you know
everyone.
I mean, it's just doesn't matter who you. The point is, like, it doesn't matter who you are, how well known you are, how successful you are. No, if they don't want you to have it, you can't get it. So it's a crazy time. This year is a major time of changeover. One way I've determined how to determine how successful or how active ISDN is to go on eBay and
see how many boxes
there are a ton of them. A year ago, you could buy a Zephyr Extreme, which was like a $1,500 used a year ago. Now they're selling for between $600 and $800.
I should get it. I should get a backup.
Time to get a backup.
Had my Musicam Prima for a long time.
They're workhorses. These things were designed to be in radio stations or TV stations and turned on 24/7 all the time. They're designed to be always on. They don't have power switches on the front and sometimes not even on the back. They're never designed to be turned off. So, it's something that some of us still need and make a living on. And if we lose it, it's pretty scary as to what really is going to replace it. Although there's a lot of options coming along.
Yeah. Right, and I've got them, and I've got Source Connect. I have IPDTL. I have, those are the only two I have right now. And I heard there was another new one that just came out. So
yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter until the client paying you the session fee wants to use it, right? So,
yeah, that's true.
Right. Well, we've got lots of questions from our audience too, and we're also going to take some questions from your students and see, that is if they haven't all left the room yet.
No, they're still here.
They're all totally entranced.
They're not asleep either. I can't.
Outstanding.
There's a bright light in my face, so I can't tell.
You have no idea who they are. But anyway, before we go there, we need to talk about our good friend Harlan Hogan and VoiceOverEssentials.com. Because if you need stuff for voiceover, all you guys out there sitting in Connie's class at San Diego City College, and you want to buy stuff, what?
They don't need it yet. Maybe.
No. But when they need it, when they need it, when they decide this is absolutely what they want to do, which you are going to do over the next 6 weeks, try and convince them without a doubt that this is what they should be doing. When they need to buy equipment like microphones and stands and all sorts of stuff to deal with having a personal studio, go on over to voiceoveressentials.com and see the stuff he's got there, because he's invented stuff that makes it a lot easier for you to get going real easy. When I started it and Connie and I started at this, we had to figure it out ourselves. It was sort of like, like starting a path. You sort of had to hold the grass down yourself at first, but there's all this stuff. We've done all the work for you. Harlan's been doing it longer than any of us since the beginning of the dawn of time. And he's figured it all out.
Since the invention of the microphone.
Probably since before that. God, I hope he's not listening tonight. And
we always make fun of Harlan because he's
we do.
We've known him a long time.
We love him. He's only been our sponsor for 154 episodes.
Years.
No, not yours.
Yes. It just seems like 153 years. But anyway, go on over to voiceoveressentials.com. And George, what's on the special boards this week?
Well, we've talked about it many times, but if you're looking for a starter microphone, the VO1A, which is his own branded microphone. It's not the microphone you need, but it's a very good starter choice. And the great thing about Harlan, when you buy product from him, is he will let you try this stuff. Make sure you're happy with it, and then decide whether you want to keep it or not. So there's a good return policy. Even if you have to keep it for 60 days to determine it for sure that you want it, he'll just charge you a small restocking fee after 30 days. But, that's the only way you're going to know if this gear is the right thing for you, is to buy it and try it, and he lets you do that. And so you can get the VO1A and a USB converter, so you can plug that professional mic into a studio for under $400, and it's pro gear all the way. It's just the simplest possible route to a working studio. So pretty cool about that website. Just the customer service element of it is what really makes it, I think, a special.
Absolutely. So go on over to voiceoveressentials.com and tell them Dan and George sent you.
Yeah.
Walk into the store there. You can't really do that anymore.
No.
It's all virtual, but if you're, you can tell them that we sent you anyway.
Yeah. Thanks, Harlan.
All right. Thank you very much, Harlan. 154 episodes. He said, okay, I'll sponsor you before we even started this.
I know. What a sucker.
So what a brilliant man he is.
Yes, that's what I meant.
I knew that's where you were going with that. Anyway, we're back here with Connie Terwilliger and her class at San Diego City College. We got a few questions from our audience who are curious, who want to know, starting off with Devox, who's never short of questions. If you live and work in San Diego, how much do LA clients and agents insist you go up there to audition or work?
Well, I don't currently have an agent in Los Angeles because primarily they still want you to go and see them face to face on occasion. Had a long chat about this with Chris Price recently, and I don't have an agent in LA at the present time, primarily because it's hard for me to get away to go up there and audition. It really is. So I'm not able to audition for the really, really high end, big time, pay your mortgage off jobs.
Those exist?
You're from Buffalo, boy.
Yeah, well, that's true. You can pay it off after you're working at McDonald's for a week. But yes, but I live in a 2,300 square foot house and I can pay that off. Anyway, okay, well, that's an interesting point, because there's a lot of people in Southern California, and I hear that a lot, that they're not really doing the stuff in that little 10 square mile area.
If you live in Orange County, you can probably pull it off if you're not working full time. The thing is, I work practically. I work full time doing voice work. So, I got booked last week at a studio all day. I had an all day recording session, and I had to drive 40 minutes to Vista to get there, and then an hour and a half to get back because of traffic coming back. And I was gone the entire day. And so I missed auditions. I didn't miss any work, but it just put extra work the next day because I was gone all day.
Yeah.
So, going, if I had to drive to LA for an audition for the potential of getting a job,
versus,
I have to really weigh those kinds of things. Yeah. But with the internet and with places like VoiceBank, if you have an agent who is on VoiceBank, you do get some pretty, decent auditions. The problem is you don't know how many places they've gone to, and you get the same audition from 2 or 3 agents, and so you wonder, is anybody listening to this audition?
Right. Well, you take the one that gave it to you first.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The one from New York who gave it to you 3 hours before the one in California.
Exactly.
All righty. Next question. Anthony, the Amish bearded voiceover dude.
Anthony.
We love Anthony. What is the most, and this is for your audience that you are physically speaking to right now, what is the most common mistake newcomers to the industry make, and how can they avoid it? You have 30 seconds. Go.
I think the most common mistake is that of not understanding their own voice and understanding where they fit in the continuum of good, better, great, and not so good. And I think that's what one of the things this class is going to do, is help people figure out their baseline of where they might fit in the business. And then by the end of class, have the ability and the knowledge to determine whether or not they have potential to actually make some money in the business. So I think just understanding what the business is all about, and then figuring out where you fit in that business and at what level you're playing. Because if you're not competitive, you're not going to work. You have to be at least, at a very minimum, competitive.
Right.
To get the jobs, you have to be a little bit better than competitive. But that's the talent part. That's the acting part of the job. I was just telling them when they first came into class that you could find your niche. And if you know what you have to sell and you find the person that wants to buy what you have to sell, then that's the formula for making money. Know what you have to sell, have something that shows that you have something to sell, and get into the hands of the person that wants to buy that. That's just basic 101, marketing.
Absolutely. The real Amy Fisher asks, who did your demo, Connie? Or did you do your own? I mean, those of us that have been in the business a long time, some of us can actually get away with doing our own demos, but I'm betting you probably did something else.
I do my own demos.
Okay, good.
But several years ago, I went to my good friend Eric Thompson, who is a voice talent out in Encinitas. And he's a big network promo guy now. And he put together a commercial demo years ago. I still have bits on my commercial demo from that demo years ago. It was that good. But I've had a lot of good work since then. So slowly a spot will get dropped in. But so the demo part for me is fine. It's the auditioning part that I feel like I'm up against a plateau at right now. I'm finding that the work I do all the time, e-learning, corporate media, all of the things that I do all the time for repeat clients and direct clients, if I audition for them, I don't get the work. So there's something going on with my auditioning. It's not quite hitting the mark. So I'm actually going to be going and getting a kick in the butt by a coach within the next month to see if they can knock some cobwebs loose and help me do a better job in those auditions. The stuff that I land is the real person mommy roles, the older woman whose knee hurts, just the real person kind of reads. I audition for those multi-voice spots. I'll land those probably a good 60% of those, but the stuff that I do every day, I just seem to be able to land those from auditions.
Yeah, really. It's an interesting business, and I'm sure they're all going to find out over as you're showing them all this stuff that there's just so much variety out there and so many different opportunities, and it doesn't look like there's less work out there. There's only more work every day.
No, I don't know if the audience is familiar with the marketing concept of the long tail. Let me do it this way so it makes sense. But anyway, there's this small amount of work where the dollars are high. And then there's this long tail that goes out where the dollars get lower and lower and lower, but there's lots of work. So, that's just kind of a business dynamic that works in almost every industry. There's a little bit of an area where there's lots of dollars and then it gradually moves on out. But there's more and more work. There is more and more work.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And actually, I've actually seen the prices going up a little bit in some things. A little bit. There's cheap stuff, but we don't audition for that. Let other people deal with that. But there's plenty of good paying stuff out there, and there's more of it now than there was before, just because of technology.
Yeah. Think about the 1900 channels on TV. Think about Sirius satellite radio. Think about Spotify. Think about the myriad ways people get their media. Think about just the ways of getting content these days. There are many times more ways of getting content now than there were 20 years ago, right? So as there are more actors, there's probably still even more work than there are actors, I think, at least skilled professionals.
The thing that I did last week, the all-day recording session, was a series of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wouldn't have had that a couple years ago.
That's true.
I think the thing that goes round and round is, is there more work than there is, or are there more actors than there are talent? I think there may be, or not, is that what I was looking for? More actors than there is work. And I think it's really a matter of, whoops, Freudian slip much? I think, it's a matter of, is there more actors than there is work? And I think, well, is there more, or are there more professional, ready to do the job correctly, working actors or working voice actors than there is work. And I don't think that's true.
No, because the part-timers, the ones that just jump in and jump out, they're not going to be available. Their customer service will be bad, and those clients will be left looking for a professional.
Yeah, they'll do 1 gig or 2 gig, or maybe they'll get hired one time by that talent or that client because they were cheap enough. They probably won't get repeat work unless they really have it together.
Absolutely. All right, you get to ask the next one, George.
Is it the Tim McKean question?
No, it's the
Mike
Shelley
Hale, sorry. Shelley
Avellino. Yes.
Where is that? We already did it. Oh, there's a second one. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, Shelley Avellino. I am more than multitasking here. Question. Firstly, great to see you again. How many agents do you have, and do you get most of your work through them, or do you use the, dare I say it, any of the P2P sites? Pay to play, that is.
I don't know how many agents I have.
You've lost track, or
I have. I have about 8 that really send me work on a regular basis. I have innumerable other relationships with places where my demos are parked, and I've done a job for them once, but I occasionally get an audition from them, and then occasionally they'll call me up with a booking. But it's, I would say that I have, 6 to 8 that send me stuff on a regular basis. I don't do any pay-to-plays anymore. As of the end of July, my subscription to Voice123 ran out, and I decided not to renew it. I'm still on the site, but not as a premium member, and I get auditions from the people that I've already established relationships with who know that I'm there and will send me direct leads. And in fact, I got a direct lead for the e-learning project I was telling you guys about earlier today. It's a really, really good e-learning job, and it came through Voice123, but it was a direct lead, a direct request for an audition. So again, they heard my demo and asked me for a specific audition.
It seems that every new voice actor that comes to me for consulting, or I need my first studio, it seems like they're all pretty much being directed toward using P2P as their way to kind of get started. I mean,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I really don't see anything wrong with it. It's a small amount of money to receive far more auditions than you could possibly audition for,
and better paying ones.
And there's some good paying jobs in there. The thing that you have to understand as a newbie is that you're not right for every single audition that is thrown at you, and you have to read everything. You have to read it aloud, listen to it, critically analyze what you've done, and say, no, that sucked, or it wasn't so bad. I'm going to hit the send button.
Right. And when you're as a new actor, that couldn't be harder. Right, because you don't have the years of experience of being directed and knowing where your talents do lie.
Right.
So it really is like blindfold dart playing.
It is, and that's what a class like this is designed to do, is to help people understand where they might fit, what kind of voice they have, and if anybody is a newbie out there and you're listening, that's the key, is listening. You have to listen to everything that is voiceover. Anytime you hear anything where if it's an animated feature, or if it's a toy, or if it's a website, or if it's a car or an elevator or whatever, listen.
The music analogy comes to mind. Especially if you're a jazz musician, you probably listen to more jazz than you even get to play, right? I mean, because the best musicians that I know have unbelievable libraries of music. Well, you don't have to have a library of voiceover. You just turn on the TV, you go on YouTube. You go into sources like the myriad sources there are online to hear this stuff. So, but that is so you can't think of a better tip than that, and it doesn't cost anybody a dime.
No, and that you listen. then you write it down, you read it in your own words, and you play it back, and you compare it, and you say, was my voice in the same pitch? Was my speed faster or slower? Did I inflect the same words? Did I change pacing? Did I put a comma in a different place? You know, all of those things. Some of the decisions, you may have a better decision than the person that you heard, because not every spot that's out there is an award-winning spot with a perfect voiceover. You know, that's part of the job of figuring out when you're listening what's good and what's not as good. You have to, if you can't figure out the difference between a local crappy commercial written by the account exec on his lunch hour and a national spot, you haven't trained your ears yet. You have to be able to hear that difference, and then you have to start hearing it in yourself. And that's where you have to develop those listening and critiquing skills.
And that's where the work really is. Tim McKean asks, and this relates perfectly to what you're doing there, do you need to be in San Diego to take the class? Is there a virtual option?
No.
Didn't think so.
No.
Except tonight.
Yeah. I only do this once. I teach one class a semester, and it's 5 hours a week plus homework for 16 weeks, not 6 weeks. 16 weeks, Dan.
Oh, geez.
So they're getting a fire hose full of information in these 16 weeks. So
well, I'm
hopefully
glad
by the end, they'll be able to make a decision.
I'm glad we're starting them off with the right stuff here then. Let's see here. Mike Hales asks, in your opinion, what is the most important thing to focus on when analyzing a new script for an audition? Because you don't have a lot of time. I mean, you want to get that thing out there and you're like, okay. What are your habits around that?
And this is why I'm going to go get my butt kicked. I have a tendency to just read it. I mean, you can tell basically what the demographic is by quickly reading through the script. You look at the specs, what the agent or the person, sending it to you thinks that they want to hear. And then you just, you kind of read through it once. You got to verbalize it. You can't think about it. You have to say it. And then I just go for it. If I don't like it, if I sit on it for a couple of hours and go back and listen to it again, I may or may not go and change it. You really need to understand, though, the demographic. What are you selling? Is it something really cheap or is it something really expensive? Because there's a little bit different approach in those kinds of deliveries. Are you talking to men primarily? Talking to women? Are you supposed to be really, really happy and up, or is it kind of a flat TV read? You just have to kind of analyze it that way and then go for it. But
is it TV or radio? Which
those are two different. In many cases, those are different sounds, completely different sounds.
That's right. Now, here's somebody who's obviously new with us on our show. They're using the title Beginner VO. Don't use that as your email address. I have a question for Connie. I looked at your website and I have a question on your exercises. Are there videos or books that I can find that will help me understand how you do your exercises? Thanks. Another copy-proofed question there.
Well, some of them are pretty self-explanatory. Any voiceover book that you read will have a section on warm-ups and things. Interesting question though, and one of my cousins I have Mexican cousins, and they have because of speaking Spanish primarily, he says a lot, instead of mit, he would say mit, and that with the T in the wrong place. So he had never had anybody work with him specifically on tongue placement of he goes, I have a fat tongue, so my tongue does fat. No, you can work with your tongue to, make it work for you so that you can place the tip of the tongue directly behind your teeth. And so maybe that's kind of one of the questions, is that you just have to experiment with tongue placement on things like the pit, pat exercise. Most people don't say the final T in a lot of words. And in some cases, you need to be able to say the final T, sometimes not. But you have to know that you can do it. And if your tongue is in the wrong spot, you're never going to get a sharp, clear T. So maybe that's kind of what she was talking about with the exercises. Breathing exercises on there. You pick up any book on yoga and go take a yoga class. You'll figure out that kind of breathing.
Thank you.
Can't do that?
I can't
do you think you've gotten some questions lined up that we could have the class ask?
I don't know. Does anybody have a question? Here's a question.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick commercial break because we're going to squeeze one more in. And when we come back, we'll get a few questions from you guys.
Oh, my goodness. I got to give them a break, too.
I know. So we're going to be done.
We're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's going to be short.
I got to take a roll.
This is a short break. We'll be right back in just a second.
30 seconds.
Thanks for waiting, everybody.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements.
You're watching East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. They're nice guys, but every time I'm there, they never let me make water. So I'm going to go make water right now. I'm a grown man.
I love that one.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, okay, so as quickly as you can, are there any questions out there from your class to us?
Go ahead.
I was wondering how significant it is to have a cardioid mic. I know in the background you have a cardioid, but
cardioid
shotgun up in the front. I have an SF feature that I'd like
Obvious
to do.
film student there.
But
so talk about the mics there, George and Dan. Which mic would you recommend? Condenser or?
Yeah, well, it's most of us use a good studio cardioid condenser mic. That's the standard really in the industry. The shotgun mics are used. I mean, a lot of us like to use a Sennheiser 416, which is a shotgun mic specifically designed for video production. But we found that it has certain qualities that pick up the human voice in a certain way, and it rejects a lot of side noise.
I'm using a poor man's 416, I like to call it. This is a AT875R, and for this you can buy 6 of these in place of one 416. But I think it sounds remarkably good. It's a really good starter mic, I think, and it is a shotgun mic. But just generally, shotgun mics reject more background noise because they're more directional.
So if you have a noisy space, it's helpful.
It can be helpful, depending on where the mic's pointed. If it's pointing at the noisy stuff, that ain't going to help you.
True.
Where a condenser, a large diaphragm, will pick up more of the area around the microphone and thereby picks up more background noise. That's why I'm using a shotgun mic tonight, because I have a very noisy space. My computer is doing a lot of work right now, and the fans are running like crazy and all that stuff. So try out both. You can buy either one of these two mics for under $200. I mean, I have an MXL mic that's like $150 here. That's my other option. And, try and experiment with these different mics and find out how they work. But you can use either in your studio.
I had a friend bring in a 416 the other day to my studio, and we put them side by side with the RE20 that I've been using recently and the 416. There was, in that space with my voice, there was just a fraction more warmth, just a tiny, tiny bit more warmth on the 416 than on the RE20.
Yeah, and most people listening to this stuff can't tell the difference. So it really doesn't
and it's interesting because those two mics could not be more different in regards to how.
They sounded identical.
Yeah, they're very different mics. But what I found is that really well-designed microphones all sound pretty freaking good. I mean, $100 shirt, or what is it, AT2020, sounds pretty freaking good. I mean, if it's designed correctly and it's low enough noise, they all sound pretty amazingly good. It's going to come down to how you place the mic, the room acoustics.
Yeah, the room, what's
And
around you.
that's the stuff that's going to make the biggest difference. Anybody else?
Anybody else have a question? Anybody else have one?
So, generally basic, beginning question. From all the people that you've known that were super determined to get into this role profession, how many ended up really making it to the role profession?
Well, I think that you've asked a question without if you have asked that question, I'm really determined, or made that statement, I'm really determined to get into this business without knowing about the business, then there's no way to say if you're going to be successful or not. You have to get to the point where you know what's going on in the business, a little bit about the business and where you might fit in the business. But more and more today, it's interesting because it's so easy to record your voice and put something out there for people to respond to. You do get a little bit more feedback than you used to on whether or not you have potential. The thing that you want to do if you think you want to get into this business is to not ask your mom or your best friend or your significant other for their impression on how you're doing. Because you want a truly, objective opinion. And those of us who have been class clowns and make everybody laugh and stuff, we don't get a true, real understanding of where we're fitting. We get this kind of false impression that we're good when maybe we.
You guys have seen the blind auditions for like America's Got Talent, or you see the people that make it.
Idol,
They make it all the way to that show, right? Or the producers probably have a sick sense of humor, but I mean, there are people you can get encouraged a very far way down the road without having.
That logo behind you, George, Edge Studio has a fabulous contest every week. Anybody can enter it. You just register on the site. It's free. And if you win the contest, you get some free coaching and stuff. But the most important part of that is the learning experience that you get listening to everybody else's auditions, listening to everybody else's recordings. And you should be able to start picking out who has a really, really bad room, is recording in their, kitchen with all the reflective, surfaces, whose microphone recorded different, you can't hear them, who has a really bad lisp and doesn't have a clue that they've got a lisp, or they're gasping for breath, or their audio is really, really low. You mentioned that earlier, that the capture, you have to have enough amplitude to get a good signal, so if you listen to those, participate in the contest, and then listen to all of the submissions, that's part of your listening exercise.
Yeah. There's also a resource on there if you don't want to enter a contest for, I think it's $27. You can have your audio, your sample professionally evaluated by staff at Edge, including the sound quality. So that's another way to kind of get a pretty unbiased opinion of what where you're at, where you are.
And you were looking for scripts. They have thousands of scripts on the Edge Studio site.
Yeah. All right. Well, Connie, we know your students have to take a break. You probably have to take a break. You have to take roll. We'd like to thank you for joining us tonight and your class. This was the first on our show, and hopefully they learned something. It was a good introduction for them.
Thanks for taking the chance and letting us do this. Really.
Yeah, you're right. No problem. All right. Thanks.
No, that was
Thanks, George. Thanks, Daniel.
There you go. Okay, then. All right.
All righty.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, we'll be right back to wrap things up here on East West Audio Body Shop, so don't go away.
And we're back. So what spot were we going to run exactly?
Oh, that's right. We already ran the voiceover extra spot, didn't we?
Should I run the voice? Should I make everybody sit through the?
No.
Okay.
I mean, go to Voice 2014.
All right, you got it. Here's Voice 2014.
We're gonna be there. I'm gonna be doing one on room acoustics. It's gonna be fabulous. If you saw the one that we did 2 years ago on demystifying processing, yes, demystifying. It was kind of misty, but the one on acoustics, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this because everyone gets to relive me constructing the booth again, so that'll be fun.
And I'll be there hanging out too.
This is going to be very interesting.
It's going to be bizarre because I'm going to be there setting up our show while Dan is doing his presentation in the same space at the same time. Right. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think I'll be getting to provide a little bit of color to the presentation.
Yeah, it will be fun. It'll definitely be different. And then we're going to tape the show afterwards.
Right.
In the big auditorium, and people are going to have lunch, and we're going to have a great time with it. It'll be like doing it at Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah.
Which I've always wanted to do, except it'll be the Anaheim Hilton, which is fine too, because it's supposed to be a beautiful hotel.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see. All right. So perhaps we should clean up things here and get on to the rest of our days.
Let
and I
the
can go take another ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Let's see here. First off, we need to thank our donors. Who are the latest?
Well, the latest, we just got one from Jose Sarmiento. Thank you, Jose.
Gracias.
We also got one from Eric Aragoni.
Ta-da.
And David Smith. Thank you very much, David.
Thank
and
you
Brian
very much.
Roush is doing a sustaining donation. And Jack DeGoli is doing a sustaining donation. You guys, thank you who's bothered to do the sustaining donation. I know I haven't fixed it. It still only lets you donate $1. That's our,
it's not bothering
that's
you.
our own
but,
idiotic, tech support issues on our end that we can straighten out. But thanks for those that even bothered to sign up for $1 a month. I know it doesn't sound like much, but imagine if every one of you donated $1 a month. Yeah. We wouldn't be cobbling the show together with Band-Aids and glue like we are right now.
That's right. Chewing gum and baling wire. EWABS clickers.
Are you kidding me? We still have more.
We still have some. We got to get rid of these.
Get rid of them.
Maybe I'll bring them with me to Voice 2014. We'll give them out there. But if you want one, you better order now, because otherwise in a week they're flying out to California with me. And they're $5 a piece, and we will not email it to. Yes, well, it'll come through the ether. It'll like appear on your desk from a transporter. No, I will mail these out to you. $5. They are fabulous for marking when you're recording.
That's
better than going beep. It's just you got it in there. Let's see what else. EWABS Essentials.
I think we're re-ramping those up. I was talking to Tim and helping him get the ball rolling again. He as Tim McKeon has been taken on the burden of producing these, and as he told me, life gets in the way basically, and I totally get it because he's got family and everything. But he's gonna reignite the fire on that. So you should start seeing some more essentials coming out in the coming weeks. Fans roundtable. We got a question mark on that. I know we're going to do one. I just don't think we've set the date yet for another fans roundtable, but
sometime this fall.
Yeah, maybe. Well, there's nothing on September 15th yet. Maybe then. Stay tuned and find out.
Be then. Next week, though. What do we got next week?
Social media roundtable.
Social media roundtable. We've been talking about this. This will be great because everybody's interested in this because they wonder, is social media the best thing to do for your voiceover business? Well, we'll find out. We'll have Jerry Reed, who's great at this. Trish the Dish Bisani will be with us. John Lano, Lisa Rice, one of my personal favorite people, and Derek Chappelle. And this will be a great discussion because they all use their social media just a little bit differently. September 1st, in Canada, it's Labour Day, and in the United States, it's Labor Day. Who wrote it? Must have been Catherine.
I thought you did it as a
I did not write that like that. I mean, I live close to the Canadian border, but I do not spell Labor Labour. But we're going to go dark on Labor Day so we can all enjoy our hot dogs and hamburgers and the end of summer, and it's been a beautiful summer here. Then September 8th, we're going to play the recording of our show at Voice 2014, which should be a riot because it was a lot of fun last time.
Yeah.
And that was it'll be even better this time because we'll actually know what we're doing. like trying not to record it over the internet.
Exactly.
We'll just go live to tape on it this time, or as we like to say, we said last week, live to drive.
Live to drive.
So we'll have time to edit it and make it fantastic. Perfect timing. No glitches, no nothing.
Yeah, this is going to be artificially perfect.
Yes. Okay. And Catherine's trying to type something in there. She's saying that this is amazing. September 15th, fan roundtable. Okay, we're now officially. It's official. September 15th will be our fan roundtable. Thank you for intervening, Catherine. All righty. Wow, an hour and a half goes by just like this when you're having a great time. Let's see here. Well, let's thank some people first. Why don't we? Oh, first we got to thank the sponsors, Harlan Hogan and Voiceover Extra, and of course Edge Studio, because for their immense support of our show. And
they're paying for the bandwidth, folks. So you're not seeing ads on Ustream right now because
of
Edge Studio.
And Harlan and Voiceover Extra. Okay. Please like us on Facebook. Please like us. Follow us on Twitter. I see you do it. Boy, you throw a lot of Twitter stuff out there, George.
I try to keep the Twitter machine running because that's one of the hot social media sites, which we'll find out soon as to which ones to be on.
And of course, subscribe to like our videos on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EWABS show with 2 S's, EWABS SHOW. Not like our email address, EWABS shop with 1 S.
Not to be confused
with our email address.
Totally confused.
Well, you'll know. Anyway, put that link up there for everybody when we get a chance. So check those out. Every episode of East West Audio Body Shop is on YouTube. 154 episodes. Where do they find this?
And
the drive space
and on podcasts,
iTunes, and our podcast is on iTunes.
Yeah, if you go to our website, there's a link for podcasts, and it shows you how you can subscribe and listen. So if you're not a video guy, you want to drive around town or mow the lawn or do your workout while you listen to us, maybe that's the way for you to go. So check out the podcast version on our site, where there's a myriad ways of subscribing, including Stitcher, which I just added us to. Well, hopefully they accepted us to Stitcher. I just added us to the Stitcher database. So hopefully you'll be able to find us on there soon too.
Absolutely. All right. So now we need to thank our wives, because without them
and our families.
And our
Because my little daughter came in here earlier, Ella, and she really wanted to see Daddy. So thanks to them both for letting me be in this back room so late on a Monday.
Yes, and my wife for worrying about me, more worried about me than I'm worried about me.
Oh, well, that's what their jobs are.
That's right.
Us guys, we're it's just a flesh wound.
That's right. It's our job to stress our wives out. Kathy Curridon doing a great job taking care of her mother and taking care of us, and producing our show and getting us all these great guests like Connie today, and Anthony Gettig for his magnificent job in our chat room, Jack DeGolia for doing the show notes. Every last second of this show is recorded by Jack DeGolia, and he writes it down. It's like a court reporter.
It's amazing. Incredible.
Yes. Tim McKean for doing the EWABS Essentials, and Lee Penny for helping us with the podcast. He's doing more than helping us. He's making it happen. So we appreciate that. So that's going to do it for us this week. We will see you next week. And that should be a lot of fun with our social media roundtable. And that's all for tonight. Thanks to Connie and her class. And I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. Have yourself a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Monday night.
Good night, everybody.